Hello, everyone. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Thank you for coming to our Hot Topics webinar. We look forward to presenting some useful information, and so we'll be starting shortly. Thanks. Give it one more minute and we'll get started. Alan, are you in presentation? Are you in PowerPoint mode?
Yeah, can you see full screen right now?
I see, yeah, good. Okay, I just want to make sure. I still see your icons in the bottom.
Oh, yes, I can too.
Let's see.
There you go.
How's
Okay.
That's better.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this Hot Topics webinar, making the most of your care coordinator relationship. We have some great information to share. And before we get started, if you have any questions, please use the questions tab over on the right-hand side of your screen to put those questions in the box. And as we get them, we will try to address them. If we are unable to answer or unable to get to them, we will provide a frequently asked question follow-up document that will be hosted on our website, and we'll be able to answer any questions there. So thank you again, and we're going to go ahead and get started.
Here, Person-Centered Services, we like to begin all of our meetings and webinars reviewing our mission, vision, and core values. And our mission here is to connect people to the care, support, and opportunities that maximize their quality of life. Our vision, a community where all people lead fulfilling lives, and core values, people, integrity, and trust.
That's me. And for today's agenda, we're going to introduce each of the presenters, discuss the role of the individual or family receiving supports, role of the care coordinator, and social determinants of health. And our hosts today are myself, Jason Blackwell, I'm the Regional Director of the East, Karen Keys, who is not on. She is the AVP of Program Operations. We have Jen Clark, who's our Provider Relations Manager, and Alan Vanesky, who's our Senior Manager of Community Relations. In presenting today, we have Naji, sorry if I say your name wrong, Jalawaski, Care Coordinator Supervisor in the East, and Kelly Ursing, Director of Care Coordination.
So just to give a little bit of background, we understand, especially transitioning over to our health home care coordination, the importance of the relationship between an individual receiving services and the family members. It's quite the critical role. But we also want everyone to know that there needs to be a commitment to that open and honest communication. We need to understand each other's expectations. We need to understand the individual's expectations, but the family and individual also need to understand the expectations of the care coordinator as well. So we're going to take some time to share Person-Centered Services perspective on the roles and responsibilities of each party.
Mm-hmm. And with this, we're going to introduce some new language or newer language as we talk about the social determinants of health. And we understand that this is not widely known or widely understood. And this is our attempt to start that conversation to make sure that it's clear what the role of the care coordinator is as it relates to our regulatory requirements, the care coordination program is what they call a health home. And I know that that terminology is a little bit misleading. It's not a home. It's a program, but it's centered around key social determinants of health. So we'll get into that, but I think that I just want everyone to get into that mindset and to understand that you're going to hear some, or you may hear some terminology that's not familiar to you. But if you have any questions, please put them in the questions chat box, and we'll address them. So the role of the individual or family receiving supports. Next slide, Al. So what is the role? To provide direction, to drive the bus. Everything that we do is, or what a care coordinator does, is based on your direction. So what you need, what you want, what outcomes you want to achieve. And it's critical that we understand that, and you understand that. And so the plans that we develop, the assessments that we do, kind of drive towards you reaching the outcome that you want. But care coordinators cannot do anything, or should not do anything, without you, number one, approving that. But it has to be something that you give the okay to, and you decide that this is the direction you want the care coordinator to support you in. That's very important, because you know, care coordinators know a lot and have a lot of resources, but ultimately they're only as good as, you know, what you want. So we want to make sure that whatever you decide, whatever supports you decide on, whatever, you know, housing options, or maybe community options such as ComHab, you know, we want to make sure that you are on board, because we will only move forward if you give the okay and if you want to. So we are really there to as a support. Similar to that, you know, communicating your needs, desires, and wants. And we have, you know, quite a few assessments that we go through. We know that there's a lot of assessments, but the purpose of these is really to be able to understand really what is going to be the best situation, the best solutions, the best options for you to be able to achieve what you want. And some of those assessments obviously are for eligibility, correct? You know, to meet eligibility and things like that. But you know, everyone here knows the life plan, right? The life plan is our driving document that outlines every service and support that you are receiving. And in order to get there, you have to guide us. You have to tell us. And yes, there are regulatory things. There are things that we have to do. But the intent of all of these assessments and all of these conversations is to create a document that will help you, that will guide us in helping you achieve your desired outcome. I hope that made sense. And identify the best mode of communication, you know, email, phone, and text. And there's some nuances there. So texting is something, you know, we can use that on a limited basis from a regulatory standpoint. But email and phone are options that we use quite regularly. But we want to make sure, again, that we're able to communicate to you in the best way to ensure that we understand your needs and you understand, you know, where we are at any given point during this journey. So follow through on action items, and this is a shared responsibility, right? So we have things that we need to follow up on in the care coordination organization, our care coordinator, and there are things that you need to follow up on. And we just want to make sure that we understand that there will be times when you have to follow up on something, or you know, close a loop on something. And you know, we expect that. Of course, we understand that things happen. So again, that's where the communication comes in to play. You know, if there are times when you know, maybe we can't make an appointment, or maybe you haven't, you know, followed up with a service provider on something, that's okay. You know, but we just need to communicate, and we'll do the same, and communicate changes as they occur. You know, that's critical, right? So we know that things happen. We know that best laid plans are just that, best laid plans. But you know, when things change, if things change, we just ask that you communicate those changes to us so that we can, number one, know the status of any given situation, but also if there's a need to provide support, if there's anything that we need to do on our end, we want to be fully informed to be able to provide the support that you need. You know, as we go through this, communication is kind of the backbone of everything, and I think we all know that communication is so important. So don't ever think that you're communicating too much. It's better for us to know than not know. And understand that care coordinators support other people. You know, if we had our way, we would have one person supporting one person, one care coordinator supporting one person. But that's just not the way it works. The way our care coordinators support multiple people, typically between 35 and 40 people, and 35 and 40 people, and that's a lot of questions, a lot of communication, a lot of plans. It's a lot. So what we want you to understand is that we understand and are sensitive to your needs, but there are also competing needs, and so we do our best to prioritize who needs to be communicated to when. One of the things that kind of drives us in our prioritization is health and safety. So, those are things that we have to prioritize, that if anyone is experiencing a health and safety situation or a situation that jeopardizes their health and safety, that's something that we immediately respond to. And we understand that there are a lot of things going on and that your needs are your needs, right? So we're not taking away from that. It's just that, one person supporting 35 to 40 people can only do so much during a given day. So we thank you for your understanding on that and for your patience, but understand that our role is really to support you, and we will support you.
So what's the role of the care coordinator? And we're going to go into that more with those social determinants of health. But as Jason said very nicely, it's really that creation of that unique life plan, because each life plan should tell the story of each individual, and everybody has a unique story. It's really that prescription for what that individual wants and needs, and those goals that individual should be working on. It's helping navigate the service systems and linking to support, so that linking and referring to those services and supports. And again, Kelly and Najee are going to go further into what exactly they can help you with. It's going to be coordinating those disability, health, and wellness related services. We're that health home. So care coordinators now have that a deeper focus on those health related supports and services. Identifying available resources that meet individual and family needs. And it's responding to recurring changes to the individual or family needs. We all know that what the state of an individual one day could completely change the next day, and we understand that. So that communication piece is very important, communicating with your care coordinator with your needs and what that could look like, and your care coordinator will help support you through that. And I know I went through that fairly quickly, but I really want to spend the majority of our time with Kelly and Najee really going through those social determinants of health. And Alan, if you want to move over to our next slide. And we can really start focusing on those 5 social determinants of health. And we have this acronym SHEEN. And these are these areas that care coordinators spend that time working with. And I know, as Jason said, this is probably a new term for you, the social determinants of health, but it's looking at social and community context, health and healthcare, education, economic stability in neighborhood and built environment. But Kelly and Najee are going to take the time to go through each of these different areas and tell you how you can make the most out of your relationship with your care coordinator through each of these different sections. And I'm going to, Jason, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, just to add on to it, just quickly. So this graphic kind of illustrates that this is the whole person, right? So the goal for the health home and the focus on social determinants of health is to address the needs of the whole person. So that's a little bit different than those of you that were in the MSC days, although many MSC departments did, because I think just by the nature of the work we do, address the needs of the entire person. But this is a very prescriptive and intentional way to address the whole person, to help them be as healthy as possible as a person.
So Kelly, we'll turn it over to you to begin with that social and community context.
Yes, hi everyone. So I'm going to take us through the first two social determinants of health. And I just want to kind of piggyback off what we've been saying. So a lot of the things your care coordinators already doing fit into these boxes, into these social determinants of health. They just have, these are just a formal breakdown of them, but a lot of this is already occurring. So the first social determinant of health is social and community context. And this social determinant focuses on the connection between your health, where you live, work, and spend your time. Part of social community context, it breaks down into kind of 4 subsections in which your care coordinators can help you with. So the first one is civic participation. And under this bullet, it is important for individuals to feel a part of their community. Care coordinators work with those individuals who are interested in voting to ensure that they are registered to vote, they are aware of the voting process, and just are unsure of their right in general. And it is up to the individual to decide if they would like to register or not. And if they do, then we take the steps to move forward with that. So care coordinators can also assist individuals who have an interest in volunteering to explore options available to them. Participation in the community can have a very positive impact on a person's health. So the next bullet is discrimination. So it has been shown that dealing with discrimination causes stress, which ultimately leads to poor health outcomes. Care coordinators can assist individuals who have or are dealing with discrimination by linking them to supports such as support groups or counselors. I think we advanced. Sorry. So, yeah, okay. So the next part is incarceration. Individuals who are incarcerated or frequently involved with the courts and justice system seem to have a higher risk to physical and mental health concerns. Care coordinators can link individuals involved in the criminal justice system to programs that we have, such as ATI, which is the acronym for Alternative to Incarceration, and they are able to advocate at court hearings for individuals with IDD. And the last bullet point under social community and context is social cohesion. And this is basically just your social group. So this can have a possible positive or negative impact on one's health outcomes. If individuals have a good social network, it can definitely have a positive effect on their overall well-being. If individuals feel isolated or have, negative social groups that they interact with, this could definitely have a negative impact. So care coordinators talk with the individuals on their caseloads. They determine goals, many of which relate to finding social activities in their communities. So I'm just going to stop now. Sorry.
So Najee and Kelly, how much time do care coordinators spend in this area?
I would say, depending on the type of caseload that an individual or that a care coordinator has, definitely the social piece of it, I feel like care coordinators spend a decent amount of time on. We have many folks that, want to be involved in their community. Again, kind of tying into the civic participation and volunteering, finding them groups maybe with their interests, even if they're interested in animals, we can find them, volunteer opportunities at like an SPCA. We do have some caseloads and specifically in my group that are involved in the criminal justice system. So I do have a supervisor that has some care coordinators that spend a great amount of time with individuals that have fallen into the criminal justice system. And we do spend a great deal of time, working on the proper supports, what they need to kind of get out of that pattern, and definitely advocating at court proceedings and things of that nature, as far as is under my leadership. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Najee, I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to that, but that's my take
I
on
mean,
it.
I think as anything that we talk about, it's, case by case, and it just depends on the person and the situation and, their involvement or need in certain areas.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so the second social determinant of health is health and healthcare. This is a big one. This is a big one that I think that, especially being now a health home, we are definitely focused on health with our individuals and preventative care and all those things that come with it. So health and healthcare, this social determinant focuses on access and understanding of all healthcare. So access to healthcare, many individuals lack access to healthcare, and it can be for several reasons, including lack of insurance lapses, or lack of transportation is a huge one that we see with our individuals. So care coordinators are instrumental in ensuring individuals have insurance, maintain it, and they also insist in finding and setting up transportation to medical appointments. Care coordinators don't necessarily, have the capacity to be able to attend every medical appointment with individuals, but we do advocate a lot on the back end, calling, to see what is needed, setting up the transportation, whether it be Medicaid transportation, to ensure that they're getting to their needed appointments. And then access to primary care. We feel this is a big need. A lot of our individuals do not see a primary doctor on a regular basis. So that's an outcome that we are definitely focused on, is preventive care, making sure they're linked to a primary doctor. So individuals who do not have a primary care doctor are more at risk to develop chronic health conditions. And a lot of barriers to not accessing primary care can be due to lack of ability of healthcare providers in certain areas, because we do serve some rural areas and things where there might not be clinics. There may be wait lists to get into doctors, so that could be a barrier. Transportation difficulties is probably at the top of the list of why individuals do not have a primary or go to a primary care doctor. And providers who only accept certain health insurance. So care coordinators will work to overcome these challenges as part of their role and really encourage individuals to seek preventative care. So health literacy is the last piece of health and healthcare, and many healthcare providers unfortunately do not specialize or have much experience in working with individuals who have IDD. This can cause individuals not to follow through with taking medications as prescribed or attending follow-up appointments. So care coordinators will work with individuals and their healthcare providers to ensure that there is a clear understanding, that individuals have a clear understanding of their diagnoses, medications, and recommendations for treatment. So this is definitely a big piece, and the care coordinators spend a great deal of time focusing on this and trying to make sure that individuals have their physicals, they understand their diagnoses, why they're taking the medications that they're taking, what would happen if they didn't take the medications that are prescribed, and working with the providers to understand, the barriers to why an individual may not be following through with the recommended treatment.
Yeah, one of the things I want to share is that health literacy is so important. I mean, research has shown that the more we know about our own health, the greater the outcomes are. So this is a big emphasis on on the health home model, because we want you and your support to be able to know what's going on, be able to ask those questions, be able to say, gosh, something doesn't feel right, or and it's something that we all struggle with, right? But health literacy, again, is one of those things that we need to get better at. We will get better at, but it's a central focus of the health home, because and you can look at it from a broader standpoint, financial health, emotional health, all of those. We just need to be able to understand and know at any given point what is happening, or where we can access the help to help us understand and help us figure out what's happening. So I just wanted to take the time to stress the importance of health literacy, in the support that we provide. So thanks, Kelly.
Yes. Najee, I think you're up.
Yeah, so hello everyone. So I just wanted to kind of share in the beginning that it's possible that a coordinator is not always involved in all the areas that we discuss due to it may vary case by case. While coordinators may not always have the answer, they are able to inquire and be a resource to you to finding services in your community and your area. It is important that they are made aware, as Jason mentioned, of any difficulties, changes, challenges in order to be able to assist further with any needed services. And with that, I think, having that discussion early on of what is going on to avoid a crisis, since at that point it's very challenging, right? And I think as a team, everyone tries to work together to best support, but trying to catch things early on and figure out what supports are available is super beneficial. So this social determinant of health is economic stability. Under this, we look at employment, food insecurity, housing stability, poverty. So in these areas, coordinators may assist with exploring and applying to different employment services, such as Access VR, which under that could be job coaching or maybe pre-vocational services, employment training programs, and that sort of thing. They also are able to assist with establishing and maintaining needed benefits, such as food stamps, Medicaid, WIC, maybe accessing nearby food pantries, local churches, connecting people to the services that provide transportation for people to be able to attend and get to those places. Maybe they would assist with completion of a RTS access application or a referral to Go Monroe under Starbridge, or possibly even connecting with a broker and FI to see what self-direction budget could cover. They may also assist with transition between settings, so obtaining services that would enhance a person's life to continue living independently, or figure out what supports are needed within their current environment to continue in that setting, or possibly explore something further with more supports. They may be able to assist with completing residential referrals, finding rental subsidies, obtaining environmental modifications for the home, again, just to assist in any way needed to promote independence within a person's setting. Along with that, possibly looking at resources in the community around financial advocacy and literacy, education, and future planning to, again, prepare for situations that are more under crisis, possibly something along the lines of homelessness, and that sort of thing, to avoid other social disparities.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Move
the
on.
next social, you wanted to add something, Jason, or no?
Nope, I said we can move on.
Okay, so the next social determinant of health is education. So care coordinators may assist families with overall connection and discussions around a person's educational needs, access, advocacy, or overall learning needs and styles. Some of the areas under this social determinant of health that we assist and look at are early childhood education and development, enrollment in higher education, high school graduation, and language literacy. Overall, coordinators work with the families, therapists, schools, teachers, doctors, and other providers, as we've mentioned along, to access needed supports and services that a person could learn and benefit from. They may be communicating with early intervention coordinators or assisting with transition from high school to higher education or adult services. They're able to attend school meetings, communicate with services such as Access VR for funding or higher education needs. But overall, when you hear education, don't just think of education related academically, but also looking at the overall need of a person and exploring options so that everyone has the opportunity to learn in ways that best fit their own style and in ways that they're able to understand the information. So by doing that as a team, we're able to help people achieve their goals in a way that they're able to, on their time and in creative ways that are unique to them. And then lastly, we have the next slide of neighborhood and built environment. Under this, we look at access to foods that support healthy patterns, crime and violence, environmental conditions, and quality of housing. So looking at the person's life in a holistic way, we're able to support people and their families with obtaining services appropriate to them. We may look at community connections within a person's area, or maybe family supports that are available that could be involved in the team to further discussions and support. We may look at we may assess other areas of need such as education around safety, exploitation, or money management. As a team, we work together to address living conditions and needed supports that could benefit the person with challenges that they may be facing within their home or neighborhood. Again, in that maybe, looking at a self-direction budget, or do we need to look at a rental subsidy to support a person with paying their rent so that they can avoid homelessness and that sort of difficulty. So all of these social determinants of health come together in a full circle, looking at the person's life as a whole. Sometimes it's not as obvious that we're working on those areas, but we step back and try to connect the dots, right? And the needs to best support a person. So the path is not always the same for everyone, but overall, our mission is to connect people to the care, support, and opportunities that maximize their quality of life. And we can only do that with the support of each other and collaboration and communication.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Najee, because I think that, as we went through the social determinants of health, and just so everyone knows, we did a very broad overview of the social determinants of health. And as Najee mentioned, it is different for each person in terms of what needs to be the focus. But the one thing that you can see is that they all work together. When one of the social determinants of health is not being addressed, it's going to impact the others. And so again, having that constant communication, that great communication to understand really what's going on will ensure that you have the support you need around every aspect to be able to meet your ultimate goal, and that's to live the life of your choosing, to be healthy. So as we talked about them separately, they do work together, and they need to work together. They need to be addressed. They're kind of foundational items for us to be able to, or for you to be able to feel good, and to be and to live the life that you want to live. So thank you, Kelly and Najee, for talking about those. It's we know that the concept is newer, but we're going to be working with everyone that we work with on understanding these a little bit more, because we want to make sure that the language that's being used in the service sector, and you can stay informed and be able to make informed decisions. So that being said, I do have some questions for the panel. One is, what are the top 3 things I need to do to make the most of this relationship? Who wants to tackle that one? And Jen, feel free.
Top 3 things. I would say communication.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be open to communication with your care coordinator, and share, as Jason said, share the best mode of communication.
Mhm.
Top 3 things to get the most out of your relationship. Was somebody gonna throw something else in there? Kelly?
Just share if something's not working, because unfortunately I feel that, I agree, communication is definitely number 1 in my book, to know what's going on. But also a lot of times families and individuals will wait until like months go by, and then all of a sudden we find out there was a concern or a problem that we could have tackled right away, and it wouldn't have blew up into some big crisis if we would have just known that there might have been a concern or an issue going on. So don't be afraid to reach out if there is concerns or something that you feel your care coordinator could be doing better, or maybe you don't know what's going on in the back end, if the care coordinator, hasn't let you know, and they can definitely fill you in on that. Sometimes they might not know that you want to know the littlest tedious detail that they're doing. So definitely just, share any concerns or things that you feel like can be an improvement going on. And I think that will definitely improve the relationships.
Definitely. Thank you. Nat, you want to add anything, or are we good to go?
No, I'm just thinking here because I think we kind of just mentioned communication, right? And I think that overlaps on everything because nothing can happen without knowing what's going on, what a person wants, what's next, and shared responsibilities as we've kind of mentioned.
Right.
I think it's asking questions. If you don't understand what your care coordinator is asking of you as well, ask questions. It's all about that communication, transparency, ask questions.
All right, next question is, what are the best ways for a parent, guardian, advocate who live far away to stay involved in their loved one's life?
I think in that it's having, we kind of circle back to communication, right? Because I think it's connecting and making sure that the coordinator is aware, like, hey, I may not live, nearby, but I want to attend meetings. This is where you should call me. This is my address. If address changes are made, we have to know, right? Because then it's very difficult to follow up or to send needed documentation like the life plan for approval. And that sort of thing. And then we as a resource and as a support can advocate and share information to the providers and all others involved to say, hey, we have to invite this person. We have to invite the parent. They are involved. They want to be involved. So yeah, going back to just being open and sharing and advocating.
And if you have the capacity to attend the life plan meeting, that's a good forum, to discuss everything as well. Obviously, if you're not able to, that's completely understandable. But let the care coordinator know if you'd like, how you'd like to be communicated with. Again, it goes all back to communication. If you'd like to receive an email, maybe monthly, quarterly, whatever works for you on progress or how, your loved one is doing, we can work with you on that as well.
Yeah. One of the things I want to throw out there is that we definitely want to make sure that the person that we support is in agreement with people that want to be involved, right? Because that's important, that they have say in who's involved in their lives. Now we know that there are certain things such as guardians, certain things that may take that decision making or may challenge that decision making, but for this situation, we want to make sure that the person that we support has this final say to the extent possible, to be able to determine who speaks on their behalf, who is involved in planning, who can provide input, because being person-centered, it means very different things, but ultimately we want to make sure that the person receiving supports is at the center of anything that we do and is able as much as possible to make decisions on their life. So the next question is, how do you best transition to a new care coordinator? What if they aren't versed in your child's most urgent need at the time?
So we hope that they are versed. We know this doesn't, happen consistently, but, we do have an internal process where we do like a transfer informational sheet to give to the new care coordinator, and the supervisors of each care coordinator usually have a pre-conversation before the transferring of the case. But if you feel when talking with your new care coordinator that they don't have the most updated information, we can definitely schedule time for them to either talk with you via phone or in person, especially if there's a critical need going on for them to be aware about immediately. But I would say, if your care coordinator hasn't reached out to you within, the first week of having your son or daughter on their caseload, then definitely reach out to them. But we definitely hope that that isn't the norm, and that your care coordinator would be versed on what is going on with your child.
And if there's a critical need going on and you cannot touch base with the care coordinator, please reach out to the supervisor, because we want to ensure that if you are going through a crisis at the moment, that you have the support that you need.
And as an organization, we are continuously working and looking at ways to ensure that if there is transition within with care coordinators, which there will be, that's just the nature of the service, that you're not spending time kind of rehashing, what's going on. We want to make sure that we're able to work with you, and pick up right where the last coordinator left off. So it is a work in progress. We're doing it well in some areas, not in some areas, but that's our main goal, is to be able to create a seamless support, a seamless service, and that no matter who's providing support to you, that it feels like the person-centered services way. So again, we're working on that. That's a big focus of ours. I mean, we want to be as customer focused as possible. So we know that there's opportunity there for us, but that is something that our end goal is to ensure that when there is transition, because there will be transition, that you are able to kind of move forward, and we can just continue the progress and keep the momentum. So this last question is not necessarily tied to this, but it is. It's a question around care coordination. Can life plans still be held virtual, as it is easier for everyone involved to attend? Who wants to take that one?
I can take this one if you go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan. You got it.
We are doing the annual life plan meeting in person with the individual, but we understand that it can be cumbersome in the ease of having a virtual meeting. But care coordinators are holding that annual life plan meeting in person. But with that, does the entire team need to be in person? No, they don't. So we can have some flexibility with that. So have the care coordinator and the individual together in person at least, and then make the arrangements to have the remainder of the team virtual.
Yes.
So think outside of the box.
Yeah, so person-centered services, we believe that in order to provide the best service, the most effective service, being in person accomplishes that. We understand that not everyone wants that, but we want to work with you on creating a happy medium. Now, there are some regulatory requirements around in person, so and we can go through those at a later time, or if you have questions around those, we can talk about those. But in person needs to happen at a certain frequency, depending on which tier you're in. So that's something that we can't get around. But as Jen mentioned, being flexible to meet the needs or to meet the requirement in other times is possible, and we do need to be creative, and we can be creative with that. But as the public health emergency winds down, as the in-person expectation starts to kick back in, we do want everyone to understand that there will be a expectation of meeting in person, and rightfully so, because as we all know, the interaction is different, right? And actually you can probably get a lot more done being in person instead of going back and forth either via email or even using GoToMeeting or Teams. You lose something in the exchange. And again, it's not to say that every single interaction or every single meeting has to be in person, but there is a frequency and a type of meeting. So what we're saying is that our life plan meetings need to be in person, or we would like those to be in person, because those are critical meetings, and being able to sit there and really have a good discussion is important. But we also want to meet your needs and want to hear potential opportunities for us to be able to do things a little bit differently. But that is our expectation. Anyone else have anything to add?
I agree with all that.
No questions in the chat right now. So if anybody watching has a question, please feel free to type it into the questions box and we'll give it to the panel.
Okay, well, since we don't have any more questions, thank you everyone for attending the webinar. And please be on the lookout for our next webinar topic, our next webinar next month. So thank you and have a great day.
Everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry,
Let's just give a plug. Go ahead to our website, www.personcenteredservices.com. If you scroll all the way to the bottom right corner, you can put in your email address and sign up for e-news alerts, which will include this hot topic series of webinars, other events that Person-Centered Services will be hosting. You can also find on our homepage under resources, you can scroll down to webinars and you'll find a video library that includes other hot topics such as finding a job in 2022. We have a whole series on self-direction, guardianship issues. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Okay, so there is a question that just popped in. Okay, so go ahead, Linda, and please just type in the questions as they come up. We have a few minutes here. So where do you meet is the first question that she put in.
And I'm assuming she means where do we meet for life plan meetings or in-person meetings?
I'm guessing so, yeah. If you want to clarify, Linda, you can type in more, but I'm assuming where do we meet for life plans?
It varies based on, well, where the individual would like to hold their life plan meetings. Every individual is different, and we really like to be individualized and person-centered based on where that person would like to hold their meetings.
Again, being creative.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Any other questions? Linda, please feel free to type away. I'll also say, besides signing up for our e-newsletter on personcenteredservices.com, if you're into the social media thing, you can go ahead and follow Person-Centered Services on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Another great opportunity to follow events and hot topics. And I'm not seeing anything else coming in at the moment.
Awesome. All right. Well, as you Alan said, there's different ways to connect with us. So, if you have any questions after this session, please reach out and we'll be able to answer them. All right. So thank you and have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.